is up, everyone? It is Landry here with another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. It is episode 52, January 16 episode of the show, and I am celebrating. It is Victory Monday here in Packerland as the Packers defeated the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas 48-32. Jordan Love put on the show. The Packers put on a show. All around great game for the Packers. Amazing game for Jordan Love and the offense. They absolutely lit it up out there, and we're going to get into it here real shortly and break it all down. But before we do that, be sure you check out the Q&As and the polls. They're on Spotify. There's also a link in the description to send in a voice message, send in a question, anything you want to ask me. Hey, we're coming up big 49ers matchup here in the divisional round. Be sure to send in those questions because it'll be fun to answer. And also, be sure to follow me on different social media platforms, especially on Instagram at Cheeseheadz_weekly. I go live at some point before the game happens to give my keys for the Packers to win. In the past, I've done bold predictions. Now that it's playoff time, we're going to get serious. We're going to lock in just like the Packers have done. And we're going to give our keys for the Packers to win the game. I will go over what I said in my last Instagram live session, and I also have the reel just posted up there on Instagram as well on my profile, again, at Cheeseheadz_weekly. So you can check that out and listen to that, go back and listen to that, and then, watch the highlights, listen to this episode, and see what the Packers did right to absolutely crush the Cowboys. Also, while you're at it, as a side note, be sure to check out Stephen A. after the game. He did his signature laugh at the Cowboys whenever they lose, and this was an even special one. And I mean, you may as well just watch First Take today as well, because I'm sure he'll be on there gashing the Cowboys just like he loves to do. Also, the show is available about everywhere you get your podcast, except for Amazon Music. New episodes will come out every Tuesday. The show is also available on YouTube in now a video format, so be sure to check that out. And you can hit the bell icon on Spotify and YouTube to get notified when a new episode comes out on either of those platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube, follow the show wherever you get your podcasts, and rate the show. That's great for the popularity of the show, gets it out to more people, so more people can see it. That's fantastic. So be sure to do that. And you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts, rate on Spotify. Tell your friends about the show, and also you can check out the website, greatcove.net/cheeseheads. All right. Let's get right into it. You know what we love to do. We're going to start with my man, Jordan Love. This guy just got done having his best performance of the season. He went 16 for 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, a passer rating of 157.2. No interceptions, by the way. Did not take a sack. Had a completion percentage of 76.2. What better can you ask for? And he would have had a perfect passer rating if not for a drop pass by Tucker Kraft right at the end of the game when Jordan Love came back into the game. Believe it or not, Packers took out their backups. We're playing the Cowboys here. The Packers took out their backup. They put in their backups, took out the starters. Wow, what a joke. The Cowboys cannot play in the playoffs. They looked off all game long. I don't understand what happened, to be honest, and it just was not working for them. But in the end, Dak Prescott ended up throwing 60 times for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One was a pick six, was sacked 4 times. QB rating, passer rating of 89.8. Incredible performance, not by Dak. Jordan Love, I mean, the numbers look, not high volume, but he was amazingly efficient. His average was 13 yards per attempt. That is amazing. Aaron Jones had his fourth straight 100-yard game, 21 for 118, 5.6 average, 3 touchdowns, along with 27 yards. Again, he provided that spark, and we talked about it in my keys of the game. One of them was to give Aaron Jones the ball, establish that run game, and not let it go. And 20 carries. I'd heard from other guys that that's probably a good benchmark. That seemed right, if you ask me. And he got 21 carries, 118 yards. Fantastic day for Aaron Jones. Emmanuel Wilson also got 8 carries for 20 yards, only 2.5 a carry. Patrick Taylor, 3 for 6, 2 yards a carry. I mean, Aaron Jones is different, man, and it shows. He is electric, bouncing off tacklers. He's got so much energy out there, so much fun to watch. He is so bouncy. He is like a now you see me, now you don't type running back. Bouncing around, tough runner. I mean, you don't want to bring him down. He is a punishing runner as well. And Aaron Jones, can't say enough good things about him. You've heard me talk about him before. And I think he's all but solidified his spot on the Packers roster next year. In fact, I think the Packers, as good as Jones has been for them, he'll be back until he retires. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. I don't think the Packers want him to go anywhere else. I think he'll be here until he's ready to quit playing football. And that is just amazing. Aaron Jones, man. He's having, not statistically, but his best season, especially if you go start from after he came back from injury. He's getting healthy at the right time, and hopefully he can stay healthy, as well as the rest of these players. Not a whole lot of injuries coming out of the game. I did hear of one, Kingsley Enagbari, their rotational outside linebacker, who has been playing at a pretty high level, pretty good all-around player, plays the run well, pretty good pass rusher. Not a whole lot of production or sacks or anything, just a quiet, solid rotational piece. Like I said, he is feared to have a torn ACL, and that will end this season and probably part of next year as well. And that is rough for such a young player that is growing and continuing to get better here. Second-year player is Kingsley Enagbari, and a big loss for the Packers for sure, especially looking at that outside linebacker, edge rusher depth. And look to Lucas Van Ness. Look for him out on the field. You'll probably see him out there more, taking more snaps there at the edge rusher position. Big day for Romeo Doubs. I talked about being almost a little bit disappointed with him. He must have been listening because, wow, he went off today. 6 receptions on 6 targets, caught them all. 151 yards, 1 touchdown, along a 46. Explosive play after explosive play. Romeo Doubs was electric. And he's started every single game this year, not been injured. He was injured last game, but able to get off the injury report, get back in there, and just completely go out. The locker room has a lot of respect for him. Matt LaFleur talked about him just being locked in all week, ready to go, and he was quiet, his own quiet self, when he was interviewed one-on-one with Larry McCarron after the game. Just humble as ever and ready to get to the next week. He says Packers have more in the tank, and I believe they do. Packers play like this, they can get to the Super Bowl. Okay, and they have to play like this, and likely they have to play better in the second half. But the thing is, they didn't have to play good in the second half. They won this game in the first half. and then the offense kept going. And, I mean, they put in the backups probably a little too early, but they put them in early, all right, because Packers just rolling over this Cowboys defense. Did allow 32 points, allowed a good many in the second half. They were playing a lot of off coverage. They did have their backups in for some of that time, and then they were playing a lot of prevent type defense. So letting plays be made, and I mean receivers were getting by them. So it was not great in the second half, and definitely allowed some big plays, but it didn't matter. I mean, Packers were so far out ahead. 48 points, man. Craziness. Um, if I can they tied a franchise record for points scored in a playoff game. That tied the mark set by the Packers during a 48-21 win over the Falcons in the NFC Divisional Round during the 2010 season. That was their Super Bowl run with Aaron Rodgers, his only Super Bowl win. And they were underdogs that year, too, when they went all the way. So a lot of similarities between these two games. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdown passes and had a passer rating of 157.2. Rodgers had 3 touchdown passes in that game and with a passer rating of 136.8. Jordan Love was obviously better. Darnell Savage had a 65-yard pick six. Tramon Williams had a 70-yard pick six in that game as well. Also, both of those were late in the first half. The Packers intercepted Dak Prescott twice, leading to 2 touchdowns, and the Packers intercepted Matt Ryan twice, leading to 2 touchdowns back in 2010 in Atlanta. The Packers scored touchdowns on 5 straight possessions to open up a 48-16 lead on Sunday. And they also scored touchdowns on 5 straight possessions to open up a 42-49 lead in Atlanta. Packers sacked Dak Prescott 4 times, and they sacked Matt Ryan 4 times in that game. Packers had 3 different players to catch a touchdown pass. Packers also had 3 different players to catch a touchdown pass in that game as well. That was the 5th time that the Packers scored 40 or more points in a playoff game. They did it under Aaron Rodgers, once under Brett Favre, and once under Lynn Dickey. Little known quarterback for the Packers long time ago. Crazy. Packers are balling. They are breaking out at the right time. Not that they weren't great before, but we'll get into the players of the game, and I'll dive in a little farther here in a minute. Okay, let's just kind of go over my keys of the game and what I said to look for earlier, and what the Packers ended up doing. So on offense, I said we needed Aaron Jones to get a lot of touches and to, kind of take over this game and to not abandon the run. Well, they didn't abandon the run. I already told you, read off his stats. He was great. The offensive line blocked well. First 2 plays, he was stuffed. They ran first 2 plays. He was stuffed. Then Jordan Love hit a big play to Romeo Doubs, and they were off and running. Aaron Jones scored his first touchdown on that drive. Packers elected to receive the kick, trying to start fast. Boy, did they ever. Amazingly, the Packers did not kick a field goal. They scored 48 points, did not kick a field goal. Could have scored 49. 7 touchdowns they scored in this game. Could have scored 49 points if not for an Anders Carlson missed extra point. That could turn into a problem. It was not a factor in this game. And I did talk about that as one of my keys of the game. Kind of the key players on special teams. Anders Carlson did miss that extra point. Had trouble kicking out of the end zone again. I'm not sure. He needs to really just kick it out of the end zone. I'm not sure if this is on purpose or if this is him. Little bit confusing, and something they really need to address. Just kick it out of the end zone. We do not want any special teams blunders knocking us out of the playoffs because special teams still a little shaky. They weren't perfect in this one. They got it done, even with the mixed extra point. Daniel Whelan was pretty good. Pinned the Cowboys back inside their 10 3 times in this one. And those 3 times had to be the only times they even punted. I mean, masterful performance here by Green Bay. Red zone. They were fantastic. I did not mention this when I went live on Instagram, but the red zone has been a problem, and you don't want to rely on Anders Carlson to be kicking field goals. And also, although he is 20 for 20 on shorter field goals, I'm not sure what the exact range is. But also, I mean, you gotta score touchdowns against this Cowboys team. I mean, the defense did a great job early on. Got an interception, 2 turnovers, interception from Jair Alexander, where he just kind of out-muscled Brandon Cooks. And then we had that pick 6 from Darnell Savage. Tell you what, that kid has speed. You should have watched him running. I mean, wide open field. No one remotely close to him, but wow, he looked pretty quick. They scored in the red zone. It was all touchdowns, as you know. And I'm not sure how many times they got into the red zone. 4 for 4, and they had a 5th score. That was a 20-yard touchdown pass right at the edge of the red zone. So, wow. Red zone dominance in this game. And they created turnovers like we just talked about, and they won at the line of scrimmage. That was another thing I talked about, mainly for the defense, putting pressure on Dak Prescott. And honestly, that's what they didn't do as much. It was the offensive line that dominated the Cowboys' defensive line. Zach Tom. Impressive performance from Zach Tom. Locked down Michael Parsons. Obviously, they probably gave him some help, and it wasn't all Zach Tom, but they kept Michael Parsons wasn't a factor. I mean, no sacks for anyone on Jordan Love, except I feel like I had seen a sack in the game, but I had heard he didn't have a sack. I guess they didn't register it as a sack because he was scrambling trying to run. They just set it as a rush for -1. So it did not register as a sack. And that was right at the beginning of the game. So, man, just an impressive performance. And they just continue to dominate, and the line of scrimmage is a big part of it. And I mean, this offensive line, we didn't expect to be near this good, and they continue to get better seemingly, and really impressed with this offensive line's performance. Defensive line, I didn't like to see the lack of pressure, but the coverage was so great downfield, something we haven't always seen this year, but the coverage was great. Jair Alexander, playing through that ankle, did everything he could to get back on the field. If you watch his post-game short interview in the locker room there, it was pretty serious interview. He didn't dive in too specifically to his big plays. Did have a nice little comment, classic Jair at the end. The guy is so much fun to watch. And of course, the interception was awesome as well. No special teams meltdowns. I already said it. They did allow a 47-yard kickoff return, which set up a touchdown right before the half for the Cowboys. But again, Daniel Whelan pinned the Cowboys inside the 10 3 times. And Turpin's other 4 kickoff returns averaged only 20 yards. They had a really nice tackle right around the 10 that we'd love to see more of. Lots of explosive plays. Jordan Love overall was just efficient. He did everything he needed to do and more, and Aaron Jones did the rest. It was a well-balanced offense. Great performance overall, and they actually did end up running the ball more than they threw it, mainly because they just got out to a lead and had the backups in and were running the ball and punting. And so they did. It became a 16-point game, and they did have to put Jordan Love in, who threw an incomplete pass. And that ripped him off of his perfect passer rating. But you know what? The stats don't matter. We all saw just how good he was. I didn't see anything wrong with him. I'll be honest, I only watched the first half. We had church, so could not watch the whole game. Watched the first half. He was dominating. I mean, this guy is extremely accurate off his back foot. You just watch his throws. He goes up there. He's hard count. And you see some linebackers coming up, they're going to blitz. Okay. So he's like, can. He's changing the play. And we go to the next play. And he gets it all, everyone's set, gets the snap off. And then he's just buying time. He knows the play's going to work. He knows where he wants to go with the football. Has it all figured out. He's just buying time before the pressure gets there because it's a blitz. The pressure's going to get there, most likely. And he just kind of is fading away, buying time, and just throws a perfect rainbow pass to Dontavian Wicks. That was his pass, touchdown pass, first touchdown pass of the game, and was right before the half, or maybe not right before, but towards the end of the first half. Impressive play from Jordan Love, and we saw this all game, just throwing off his back foot. It's like the guy throws better just as good off platform as on platform. Like, incredible play. Had amazing sidearm throw to Romeo Doubs. Oh, that was so fun to watch. Just threaded that needle right in there. And I mean, it wasn't his first read. Looked around, the throw's a little late to Romeo. The play wasn't designed to Romeo, like Romeo said after the game. But Jordan Love, did a good job of progressing through his reads, found Romeo open there, just in the soft spot in the coverage, and threaded that needle right in. Wicked sidearm pass. Beautiful, beautiful play. And Luke Musgrave is back. 3 for 56 and a TD, I believe. Was wide open after the game. He had to kind of come back and then make a turn up the field and race into the end zone quickly. After the game, Matt LaFleur in the locker room. Luke Musgrave stayed on his feet. Team loved that one. And I mean, he has had trouble stumbling. I've mentioned it on the show before. Not that time. Luke Musgrave looked really good and wasn't on the field a whole lot. They're still being a little cautious with him, but he was great, all the times he's been out there. And we're starting to see explosive plays to him now too, which is fantastic. Packers did a good job, at least in the first half, limiting Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. They eventually racked up stats in the end, but it didn't really matter. Packers had already run away with the game and pretty much won it. So, big time. By the way, that sidearm pass to Romeo Doubs in the end zone was on 4th down, 4th and 2 in the red zone. As they just kind of widened that margin. I mean, LaFleur stayed aggressive, didn't get too safe at the end. Obviously, maybe put in the backups a little too early. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you get the win, and 48 points certainly isn't bad either. And they consistently converted 3rd downs, 4th downs. We're 7 of 11 on converting 3rd or 4th down. And Aaron Jones' first touchdown run was on 3rd and 2. Jordan Love hit Dontavian Wicks for a 20-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and 7. That's classic. That's becoming like signature Jordan Love, getting close to the end of the half, 3rd and 7 in the red zone, just a few more yards to the end zone. Well, Jordan Love's just going to shoot for the end zone. I called it. That's pretty much what I said. I was like 3rd and 7, but we're in the red zone. We're getting close to the end zone. He's just going to go for it all. He's going for the end zone. Sure enough, classic back foot throw as well. And Jordan Love, man, that guy is amazing. And Matt LaFleur thought so too. He said at first he pretty much had no words. He was like, wow, just wow. And then he got into it a little further and he's like, Jordan Love is a real dude. Great quote from Matt LaFleur. Jordan Love, he's a real dude. And maybe at some point I will get into kind of some rankings quarterback rankings. I thought about doing it in this episode, but so many other things to talk about. I guess I will not do that, and I will get into my players of the game here. And I think that'll be pretty much it. We'll preview the 49ers game a little bit, but I haven't dived in. Been thinking about that. You gotta celebrate this win. At least I do. I hope the Packers are locked in, watching that tape, grinding that tape, because it's a Saturday game, so they have one less day to prepare. And, coming back from Dallas and then going to San Francisco, it's a little ways out there. So the Packers definitely got some preparation to do. Let's get to the players of the game. Number one, this always happens. For one thing, Jordan Love is always on the list every single week, and maybe I should just put someone else on just for the sake of putting someone else on, because I gush about him and talk about him all that I want to talk about him before we get to the players of the game. Then we get to the players of the game, and I'm just like, well, Jordan Love, you already know about him. Number one player of the game. That's pretty much what I got to say here. Had his highest PFF grade of the season. I will mention that, 92.5. That is an elite grade. And Jordan Love was nearly perfect, dominated in almost every situation imaginable for a quarterback. I'm reading from Packers Wire, USA Today. Check that site out. I use it a lot. And they give these PFF stats off. So I like to use it for my players of the game. Number 2, Aaron Jones. These two guys have been on the same page lately. I mean, they are team players. These two have just been working together to kind of just make the wins happen. And Aaron Jones, you heard his stats already, and another just fantastic game. 4 runs over 10 yards, forced 4 missed tackles, had a nice stiff arm on a guy. I believe it was Marquise Bell. Just kind of stiff-armed him over. I mean, Bell was able to pull him down, but just steamrolled him. Great play by Jones. And, 3 touchdowns. Was one more touchdown than his total on the season before that game. Or in the regular season, I guess. So, Aaron Jones, man, he is getting it done right now, and I couldn't come at a better time. Hopefully he can do it again here against San Francisco. Number 3, Romeo Doubs. I talked about him as well. Impressive day. I talked about him. He's always been that safety blanket, always been on the field for Jordan Love, and always been kind of the guy like that Love's go-to guy in critical situations, like in the red zone, on 3rd down, and on 4th down in the red zone today. But he was creating explosive plays, something we haven't seen a ton from him. He was making a lot of contested catches earlier in the season, throughout the season, doing a lot of, being a really physical player. But we got to see some of his explosiveness and run after the catch ability, just speed. He has some sneaky speed. You got Christian Watson and Jaden Reed out there, but don't discount Romeo Doubs, and he was smoking people with some great route running and just getting wide open for Jordan Love, taking a lot of pressure off him. Let's go to the defense. Number 1, we got to go with Darnell Savage. He had that pick 6, but he didn't do too bad otherwise either. Had allowed only 2 completions into his coverage and did not have a missed tackle on 5 attempts. Number 2, Jair Alexander. By the way, Darnell Savage had an elite PFF grade as well, 92.1. Jair Alexander battled his way back from an ankle injury, suffered in practice, rolled his ankle. Pretty much training, treatment, whatever, 24/7, except he didn't get the full 7 up until the game. And lengthy workout session before the game, was questionable coming into it, but he was able to go by sheer power of will, and had an interception that set up a touchdown, gave him great field position, allowed only 2 catches into his coverage as well, made 6 tackles without a miss. Jair Alexander, man, this guy's the real deal, and when he is here to play, you don't want to mess with him because he's great. And prediction on Jordan Love being the best quarterback in the league is actually coming remarkably true. And I mean, Jair Alexander isn't known as a very serious-minded guy overall, but he's got confidence, he's got energy, and got swagger. And of course, he had to tell us again, Packers back, or Pack is back, whichever way you want to interpret it. Either way, they're back, and in a big way. Number 3 on defense. Why not give another one to the secondary? Because the secondary was really what won them this game, and I'm going to give it to Keyshawn Nixon. Nixon has struggled some games this year, not this time. He's an energetic guy too, and he brought it here today. Had a team high of 3 stops, had a third down sack included in there. That was a great play. Dak was rolling out. For one thing, he had all day. Then he rolled out, buying some more time. Still couldn't find anything. Nixon comes up. So he's either going to have to throw it away or he's probably not going to get around Nixon. And Nixon played it really well. Got in there and sacked him. And the coverage was great downfield. Nowhere to go with the football. Great job by the Packers defense, coverage-wise at least. Like I said, not a ton of pressure in this game. Hopefully we can get more of that. Cowboys do have a really good offensive line, and San Francisco not quite as much. So hopefully we can get some pressure on Brock Purdy in that game. But Keyshawn Nixon, man, pretty good. Broke up a pass, forced 2 incompletions. Good game for Keyshawn Nixon. I already talked about Daniel Whelan, but great job there on special teams with the punting, as well as just the coverage was overall good, other than that one 47-yard kick return. Don't like to see that, but, Turpin is going to have one every now and then, and at least didn't come right at the beginning of the game. It, had a really bad time, and, just didn't hurt him too bad, and they didn't allow a touchdown. That could have been, momentum changing there. Anders Carlson went 6 for 7 on extra points. I mean, that's a lot of extra points to kick in a game, so, I almost get it. But he has missed a lot of extra points this year. Don't like to see it. Hopefully he can just be perfect, completely erase all that, and be ready to go against the 49ers. Okay. That's about all I got for players of the game. And for really any other notes, I could talk for a long time, man. But how about them Cowboys, man, as Rich Bisaccia would say. A lot of things happening with them. Do they fire Mike McCarthy? What do they do? I've talked about it before, about the Cowboys before on the show. I guess I'll keep it going. I think Dak, I never really thought Dak was the answer for the Cowboys. Never been great in big situations. I never thought a whole lot of Mike McCarthy in big situations either. Clock management, especially, has not really been his thing. Obviously, clock management was not a factor in this game. Cowboys just did not really come to play. Packers did, absolutely. Cowboys did not look like they were lacking energy. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, the announcers talked about it numerous times in the first half as they failed. Ball placement was not good. CeeDee Lamb dropped a few, went both ways, and that connection just was not working. Some strange things were going on with that Cowboys offense for sure. And the defense, I think they showed up to play for the most part. Maybe didn't bring the same energy, but if Jordan Love's gashing you in the first half, what are you going to do in the second? It just kept going downhill. Once the ball started rolling, it kept rolling, kept getting bigger, kind of like a snowball effect. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Jordan Love and this Packers offense right now will do to you. Especially when the offense could shut down that pass rush. That was incredible. A really impressive performance there by the Packers offensive line. So where do the Cowboys go from here? Jerry Jones is, well known, kind of an impulsive owner, likes to control things, and like most owners do. And so, will Mike McCarthy be fired? Should he be fired? I will address the should he be fired first. I don't think so. When he took over as the play caller, I thought he did a great job calling the plays. I think he's a big reason why the offense has elevated. I mean, this is pretty much the same offense of last year with Kellen Moore, who we all are like, yeah, great offensive coordinator. Dak is an MVP candidate this year, and I think that's a large part due to the fact that Mike McCarthy has called great games. This one was not one of them. I'm not sure what was wrong, but Mike McCarthy's play calling was better than I expected it to be. I'll tell you that much. So I don't think Mike McCarthy should be fired. Maybe not great in the playoffs. I think that has a lot to do with maybe Dak as well. Dak just looked uncomfortable, rattled from the beginning, and he didn't even have that much pressure in his face. Just to not look in control at all. So, as far as Mike McCarthy, I think he should stay. I don't think the Cowboys will get too far with Dak Prescott, but now they're kind of tied up with, the contract. Will they fire Mike McCarthy? I think that's a very real possibility. It seems really kind of dumb to fire a coach that did so well with this offense, and got him to the playoffs, got him to the number 2 seed in the playoffs, and then just say, "All right, you're done," and just fire him. I don't think that's really the right move either. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they should fire him, but I think it's pretty possible they will. A lot of people think they will. I'm not totally sure they will, but Jerry Jones is certainly capable of it, and it's hard to tell what he's going to do. So I think it's about 50-50 whether he will be fired. I don't think he should be. And do I think the Cowboys will be any real contenders anytime soon? Not really. As long as Dak is there, I don't really think so. And maybe McCarthy has something to do with that as well. But I think my main reasoning is just that Mike McCarthy did a good job during the regular season at least, and I don't think you're going to find a much better coach out there unless you can somehow get Jim Harbaugh. And we already have multiple teams vying for him as well. So I think you should keep him because I think he's one of the better out of 32 coaches in the league. I think he's in the top half. So that's kind of what you're up against, and I just don't think you can find anyone better. And so I think you got to stick with him and hope something changes. But I'm not really sure that anything will. But yeah, Aaron Jones owns the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers did own the Bears, and now that ownership has been transferred to Jordan Love. And I mean, Jordan Love seems to be owning about every team he's played lately. And I'm looking forward to this San Francisco matchup, especially because Rodgers has struggled in the past few years. The 49ers have just been the main issue, the main problem for why the Packers have been knocked out of the playoffs early. The last few years they've been in here with Aaron Rodgers. So definitely could be interesting to see, Jordan Love lights it up and Packers somehow just shock the world again and win this game. People are going to be like, wow, this Jordan Love guy is for real. Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat the 49ers. So I'm excited. I have full confidence in Jordan Love, and my eye will be on the defense because I've said it in the past. The 49ers look unstoppable. I have come to see some of their weaknesses. We did see a 4-interception game from Brock Purdy against the Ravens. Ravens have a great defense, though, but if the Packers, they got Valentine and Alexander and Nixon out there all playing with that energy and confidence, maybe they can come out there and make some plays again. And so I guess we'll kind of see what happens in this game. But it is set now for Saturday, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. Will be on Fox, which is great news. Fox has some pretty good announcers, and I can watch the game a lot easier on Fox. So, really looking forward to it, and hopefully I will be able to watch the game, hopefully all the game this time. we'll see what happens, and really excited for it. And you know what? I'm not going to be too disappointed if they lose because they've done so good already, and people didn't even expect them to get the playoffs. I was going to be happy if they lost this game. They're still going, and if they win this game, it'll be great. I'm here for it, but we'll see what happens, and I'm just happy to be here, and I'm just gonna enjoy it while it lasts. So shout out to C.J. Stroud and the Texans. Almost identical stats for Stroud and Love. Stroud had 2 more yards. Other than that, everything was the same. Wow. C.J. Stroud lighting it up over there. I mean, imagine a Packers-Texans Super Bowl. Jordan Love versus C.J. Stroud. That would be fantastic. So much fun to watch. Obviously, not likely to happen, but I mean, keep an eye on these teams. They're big time, and yeah, keep an eye on them Texans. They're over there making things happen there in the AFC, beating the Browns to start off their playoffs. The 2 youngest teams in the NFL, I believe. So that's pretty impressive. I can't wait to see what happens there as well. So that'll about do it for me today. Sure to tell your friends about the show, rate the show, subscribe on YouTube, follow wherever you get your podcast. Again, video podcast is up on Spotify, so you can always watch that. Let me know in the comments on YouTube or Q&As on Spotify. If there's anything I need to change, give me feedback in that regard. Send in any questions, voice messages, or answer the Q&As. We got the polls as well on Spotify. Comment on the episode on YouTube with a question, anything, and I will try to answer it before the game. However I decide to do that. So really excited for this one, and stay tuned for Saturday night football in San Francisco. Go Pack, go.